Hello, folks. Welcome back. Okay, after last time, we were struggling to try and get off the ground. We seem to have parked ourselves in a bit of a hole, which I didn't realize. I think that was, yeah, when we rolled back a bit. But anyway, the goal here is try and get this thing flying. That way we can get a much better vantage point. Having audio issues again. There we go. Okay, so yeah, a much better vantage point that we can spot our ice deposits from up in the air. I mean, that's been the goal for quite some time now, but we just haven't had the thrust to do it. So we'll try finishing that off. We'll pull our tools out of the survival kit. Also, if we have a look, our batteries are mostly charged. Like, they'll be a little bit lower, but yeah, they've been on charge all night, so that's good news for us. We haven't sustained any damage, so that means that nobody's found us. So that's also a bonus. This isn't a very busy server at the moment, so like if we have a quick look, I'm the only person on again, so in that way, it's, yeah, like if it was a very busy server, we might end up with people coming and looking for us. But did I forget to put my tools in the... So I thought we had tier 2 tools. Oh no, that's not great. Let's see if we can make some, because which tools did I have equipped? Yeah, I had tier 2 tools equipped. Did I put them in the seat perhaps? Nope. I think I just forgot to put them away before the end of the... before the logout, and I lost my better tools. So unfortunately, that is something that happens. Something that we might do is put a cryopod on somewhere, so that way we're less likely to lose our good tools. But we can just make some more up. We do, like, we collected that silver earlier on, so... But it looks like we are out of nickel. So we'll also run our drill down. Where are we at the moment? We're over a hole, so we're going to have to move a little bit. Yeah, okay, so jack up the wheels. And we need to disengage the park brake. Hang on. There we go. We're stuck in that hole on the front, but I think we're getting out of it. So yeah, we'll just run our drills down, we'll pick up some more nickel, and that way we can make our tools. That's the first thing that we're going to need, and by the look of things, we need nickel for those motors. Open up the helmet. It's always a smart thing to do when we can. And I suppose while we're waiting, we will just fill up our suit. Run the other piston. check our inventory and see if we've got our drills yet. Our tools yet. No, we don't. Okay, if we have a look at our assembler. Probably scroll past. Yeah, I did scroll past it twice. Yep, where the assembler's full. That's problematic. So we'll pull all of the iron out of that, and it can just take back in what it needs rather than everything that we've got. Because that's going to going to need to take in some silver as well, which I'm pretty sure that we did collect some. Do we have any ingots of it? Oh, we got a fair few there, so oh, that's right. Something that I haven't done yet. I haven't turned everything back on. I was thinking, why is it not working? Same as our wheels were not working. And our gyros are not working. What I might do is just set all the things for... In fact, I might just do that now. Select everything that I want to have turn off or on for low power mode, I suppose we could call it. I'll put the basic assembler on there as well. I'll call it sleep. And we'll just cycle everything so everything there is turned on, so just in case we missed something. And we reverse our pistons. Now if we have a look at our production, there's nothing there. That probably means that we finished everything. Yes, we did. That's good news. So we'll put them in our inventory. Except we can't do that from the seed. We have to do that from a port. Okay, something else that we're going to want to put on production is 1100 motors at least, because that's what it was at before I took them down. We'll kill the drills for now. Chuck that motor on build planner. Oh, and I've got myself stuck. Alright, now we were heading towards that station, but it turns out that station is in space, so I suppose it gives us a direction to head, so it might be worth going that way anyway, but we are going to have a real time trying to get down there and through all that stuff with the configuration that we're currently running. We want to try and stay on a flattish stuff. To get over all of that stuff, it would be much smarter just to try and fly. Also, we are getting substantially heavier. Like, the thrusters probably, or those two extra thrusters I put on, they'd be taking up a considerable amount of that mass, but it's also probably the fact that we just picked up a lot of stone. Okay, we want to chuck our forward thruster on. So we only have an hour, or probably a little bit over an hour, running just one thruster with the amount of batteries that we have. So we are going to have a very short flight time with the amount of batteries. So we will need quite a few more to maintain any sort of decent distance flying. So that's something else that's going to have to be considered. We will probably like to maintain flight for a greater length of time. Probably what we'll do is we'll move the front wheels forward a little bit more, so that way we can get the 4 thrusters there on the side, on each side, and that will give us plenty of downwards thrust. I think that might be a reasonable configuration at the moment for what we're trying to achieve. But at the moment, without adding stacks more batteries onto it, I don't think it's going to be super necessary. Like, it will in the long run. But that being said, if we can manage to find the ice, then yeah, it's not going to be a problem, because once we get to space, a lot of the issues that we're having are going to be non-issues. Like, we can run the hydrogen generator. Oh, that's right, I've got the ore detector off. That's why I'm not picking those things up. So probably should have added that to our group as well. So we'll go up to our sleep group, add the ore detector in as well, save that, so that way yeah, we can shut that off when we're not doing anything. So there was iron underground over there. I'm not going to bother picking any more up at the moment because we are very heavy. We'll just process what we've got first, get through all of that stuff, and then see where we're at. I think that would be a smarter way to go about it. Just looking for a decent direction to try and take that's yeah, not going to be a nightmare to try and traverse, because I still want to keep moving about. Like, if we can keep moving, like, it is a little bit safer, provided we don't have a mad crash. Like, if you stay in the one place too long, you run a very high risk of someone spotting you. So, like, especially with the unknown signals, even though there's no one else on the server at the moment, if you are playing with a lot of other people on the server, you want to try and stay as mobile as possible, in my opinion. That way, if someone does come looking for you, they are, like, yeah, they'll go to a place where you were a little while ago. And all you're doing is just increasing the search radius for them to try and find you. No, we've just had someone connect. But yeah, generally, like, you know, people could be hostile, people could be friendly. But realistically, you don't know that until, like, yeah, you interact with them, like, on the server. A lot of times, like, everything's gone well. Like, when I've had come into contact with other players, like, I haven't gotten killed, but there have been a couple of times where it has not been safe, so to say, from a PvP sort of standpoint. I suppose I'm going the most roundabout way of saying it is much harder to hit a moving target. Alright, park up for a minute and we'll have a look and see how many of the parts that we need have been made. So yeah, the sooner we get off the ground, the better. Put the metal grids on production. We still have some cobalt there. Move the metal grids up the priority a little bit. Alright. It's 3 engines down, or 3 downward engines done. And we can clear away these blocks here because, well, they'll just get destroyed if we don't anyway, but getting all jammed up on that thruster. Alright. See how far we can get on the other one. Not that far. We need a lot of motors. What am I getting stuck on? Got plenty of nickel. Plenty of everything. So I don't know why we are not. Let's check production. Not the basic assembler, the industrial assembler. Oh, there we go. We've started making motors again. That's strange. Alright, let's get moving. We'll give it a crack with 3 motors and we'll see how we go. So we do need to turn the number 8 off before we turn all of them back on. And we still don't have enough lift. almost got enough. So yeah, it's pretty heavy, and I'd say it's because of all that armor plate on the top. But yeah, I've got a feeling that we're going to need way more than what we've got to actually do anything. Something I should have checked though, which I didn't take a note of, was how quickly it was going to like drain all the power, or how much power we were using. That could be an issue. So if we turn that back on, if we try to lift off, yeah, we got 25 minutes, and we're trying to use 60% of our thrust just for maintaining, or 60% of our batteries for trying to maintain neutrality or neutral buoyancy. But 25 minutes is a reasonable amount of time. We can cover a fair amount of distance in that time and have a good look around. But yeah, I don't think that we have enough power at the moment to lift us off the ground. So we're probably just going to keep rolling for a while, refining and building components as we trundle along. It's a shame we can't get past all of that ridge there, like, and keep heading in that same direction, because if we keep heading in the same direction, at least we're not going to be going around in a big circle, which is most likely what we are doing. I suppose we can attempt all the difficult stuff. We might as well. We've got time to burn. Whilst we wait for our parts to go, we're just going to have to do it very cautiously. Oh, I don't think we're going to get down that. It looks pretty steep. So, what's that down there? Hey, I think we found some ice. I think we're going to grab our hydrogen bottle and fly down there and have a look, because that looks like a very dark patch of green down there. This is going to be worth a hydrogen trip if it is, or the hydrogen usage if it is ice. So that could be very good news. Yes, it is. This is what we've been looking for. We pull out our drill. Ice. That's exactly what we've been wanting. So we got to get our truck down there now. And our truck is rolling. Should have put the handbrake on. Eek. I think we'll turn on our thrusters. Just so that way we've got a little bit of assertive reversing, as well as no super hard landings. But that's exactly what we've been looking for. And turn the park brake off. So now we can focus on getting off of the planet. So we can just drill the crap out of this now. So we'll start at one end, work our way down, and we'll probably just strip, layer down. We can actually get rid of the atmospheric thrusters now. Like, we'll chuck on some hydrogen tanks, but yeah, we don't need to worry about trying to fly with atmospheric thrusters anymore. We can throw away that idea, grind those down, and focus on getting our hydrogen engines up and going. For some odd reason, our park brake is not doing its job very well. Anyway, park brake on, we'll drop the wheels down. I'm going to try locking that landing gear with the thrusters. Nope. Just by tipping it forward a little bit. Nope, it's not going to go. Oh, yeah, it did go, but in a very stupid manner. So, yeah, I'm going to unlock that. And we haven't bounded. How annoying. Switch lock that. So, we want to kill the thrusters. Something else that we're going to need, not that we can see what we're doing because it's gotten really foggy or dusty or something of the sort, which is not ideal. Well, first off, I think we'll work out, or we'll chuck on the second refinery just below that, and that will give us a better idea as to how much space we got left for our hydrogen, oxygen, or O2H2 generator. That's going to be the next crucial thing. And yeah, we're going to be able to get rid of the wheels sooner rather than later. Yeah, we're going to be going skywards. So let's start grinding these down because we don't need them now. We'll leave the lateral ones on though, just in case we do want to go moving. We are going to need a lot of cobalt for we need a lot of metal grids for hydrogen thrusters. So we're going to put big hydrogen thrusters on here. So, but yeah, we're getting to space soon. Oh yeah, got to turn on the drill and start drilling that glorious ice. Now, some starts on Earth can be as difficult. Like, ice is a lot more plentiful on Earth. But if you are out in the middle of the desert or something like that, you may be looking for quite some time before you actually find it. It can be very, very challenging. So, yeah, this is an extreme example of that. One of the easier places to start is the moon. You can get around the moon very quickly in the survival lander starter pod or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's got wheels on it so you can drive, as well as it's got a little hydrogen thruster on the bottom of it. So you do have a small amount of ice that you start with, so you can use it for flying around to try and get yourself near the ice cap. However, a lot of other people get that idea as well, and a lot of other people know about that particular idea. So the problem that you end up with is you making yourself an easy target by going there, which is not the best thing in the world to do. We'll grab some steel plate just so we can grind that other one down without falling. But yeah, we are probably going to reconfigure the drills to... Whoa, that was not the smartest thing in the world to do. I forgot about those ones up the top. Okay, we'll extend our ramp. Actually, we'll make it out of heavy armor blocks, so that way... we probably can't get back up, but we don't have to be as sparing with the jetpack now, because we are going to set up hydrogen production stuff. So, but in any case, we will still try to be somewhat conservative. Lift our wheels up. The other thing that we want to do is, after we've lifted the wheels up, we want to drop it down, or like we're lifting it up so we can place the blocks for this ramp that we want to put on, which it's still a little bit too low. So we'll lift it up a little bit more. That's lifted up as far as it'll go now. We'll also put a block down, or put the landing gear lower, so that way it will actually reach the ground. Why can I not place a block there? Oh, okay. I thought I'd picked up enough. It turns out I was mistaken. But yeah, the next thing is just going to be, we need a lot of metal grids. So actually what we'll do with the production is we'll go to our industrial assembler, which we'll probably make another one. Go to the blueprints and we'll have a look at, first off, we want an O2H2 generator. So we'll build one of those, or source the materials for that. Something else that we're going to need are hydrogen tanks. We're going to need a lot of these. So we'll fabricate the parts for 10. The other things that we're going to need a lot of hydrogen thrusters. So we'll go for 10 of those too. So we are going to need a lot of cobalt. So we'll probably just source that manually. We'll fly out to a spot that's not too far from here, or perhaps even make a little rover type thing. Whilst we're down on the ground here, we'll lower this landing leg so that way it'll lock to the ground easier, which is fine now because we're going to be staying here for quite a time. So that was probably the wrong block to drop, but it doesn't matter, it will do the job. So if we put the landing gear here, we drop it down, it should be about the same height as what our little ramp is. So like, we're not going to be able to drive very well with it as it is now without that getting jammed up all the time, but that's fine, it's not a problem. And we are generating power. Okay, so drop the other piston. If we check our inventory, let's see if we are pulling up ice. So that's great news. We now have way more ice than what we did before. So next step, we'll place the block for our other refinery, and we'll start clearing some space around. I'm going to start using the jetpack a lot more now because we can. We are no longer in full conservation mode with our hydrogen consumption. And the other thing that we're going to do is chuck on those yield modules if we can. We will need to go and actually go and get some gold now to make that happen. And we'll just dig that manually as well. We don't need an enormous amount of it for the yield modules. What the parts that we need, if we have a look at, or we can have a look at the quantity of gold that we need per yield module. So if we have a look at production on our industrial assembler, blueprints, yield, helps if I can spell it the correct way around. We need 13.33 ingots per yield module. So we're going to want 8 of those all up. So we're going to need, and they do take a long time to refine as well. Gold is very slow to process, which can be frustrating if you want to make some much larger components like a jump drive or a nuclear reactor or something like that. I think the component is semiconductors that it needed, and it is it can be painful waiting for it sometimes. Actually, waiting in general, in my opinion, is painful, but try to speed things up as much as we can. Okay, so we want to stick this one in the same place, same orientation. Now, annoyingly, the port there is on the bottom. So we might move those gyros and just run a bunch of... Oh, actually, no, I'll stick them on the front. Anyway, add that to the build planner and chuck that in there. We'll start putting this thing together. Oh, the other thing that we need to do is finish grinding down those other things, those thrusters that we'd accidentally dropped onto the ground. Why is that not welding up? What am I collecting that I don't need stuff for? Okay, we now have 2 refineries up and running. Not running at super efficiency, but they are there. Okay, we can clear this crap out of the way for now. We may need it later, but we can always put it back. Grind these down. Recover the parts for them. So even though we're not going to use them, they still have useful parts in there. If you don't drop them, like I did. So take out these ones too. And we did use them briefly. They helped us get down that hill, so it wasn't a complete waste. And our forward thruster definitely helped us a lot. Like without that, we would have been stuck many times just trying to get over bumps. Alright, next one. Now we could make something small that we can go mine some stuff with by hand, load it up, and then carry it back out. Or we could even make a miner that would push down into the ground. But it's not really worth the effort, I don't think. Like, I think if we just hang here, most of what we can get, we're going to get out of the dirt. Like the iron, silicon, and nickel. And we do have a lot of iron already. We probably should have grabbed some nickel ore and had that refining like whilst we were offline, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's unfortunate because if we had a lot more cobalt refined, that would have been good as well, but then we wouldn't have to be considering other things like that. But we can just jetpack over to wherever we want to go to pick up stuff, but I think we'll just focus on staying here for the meantime, get this all set up nicely. We may still make a weld ship, like a little welder to go fly around our ship here and weld up. Like, we're going to need a lot of at least steel plates to weld that up. We don't necessarily have to make this thing airtight to fly it to space. We will put a cockpit on it rather than the control seat that we've got, or we'll keep the control seat there, but we'll add a cockpit to it as well, and we'll put our flight controls in that. So that way, and we'll have that piped up, so when we are in space, we don't have to worry about running out of oxygen, and we can recharge our suit, refill our hydrogen and oxygen, all from the cockpit. So we could have done that earlier on, but they do take a little different resources. Like, we would have had to use like bulletproof glass and all that sort of stuff, and it doesn't really matter, but we are still good to go. Now, considering options as to where to place everything, we could just stick the H2O2 gens here. I think that might be the way to go. So if we stick them like that, I probably oriented this wrong, because I would have oriented it wrong. So we're going to have to we'll probably put small cargo container. Hang on, I'm just going to weld it down and we'll place it again with a bit more intention. Although, if we put a small cargo container here, the reason why I use a small cargo container rather than the conveyor port is because they cost the same in PCU, and we do have the added bonus of the cargo container being able to hold stuff. It can be a bit of a nightmare when you're trying to manage inventory later, but at the same time, like, you may as well make it do two things rather than just one thing. So anyway, so put that on the build planner, and we'll put all the parts for that onto production and do our best to weld it up. Now we're going to shift the production around a little bit because we want the interior plate now. And we are short of stuff. Okay, we can push that down a little bit more. Oh no, we can't. So we'll bring that back up. Push our wheels down. Unlock our... Oh, we got to rebind the gear because we moved it. Landing gear is proving to be a nightmare. So we'll just roll forward a little bit. See, the ice is not super deep here, so we want to try and drill out as much of that as we can. Okay, drop our wheels down again. And we're locked up. On the plus side as well, we can run a hydrogen engine, and that will fix a lot of the power issues that we're having at this stage. See, we don't need to go super deep for the ice either. But there's no reason why we can't collect all the extra stone and whatnot. Let's have a look at our inventory. The drills aren't full, so that means that we're not maxing out our container yet. But we are getting close. We probably don't want to do another plunge yet until that's down to about halfway. But we are going to be starting to smash through a lot more stone because we have both refineries going at it, which is good. Check our assembler because I think that we may be getting backed up in there again. Let's see, we are producing a lot of iron and silicon, but we are also using a lot of, so we can get rid of a lot of these motors because we're going to have stacks of motors. We are going to need a lot of steel tubes though. Probably don't need all of those because I think we had something like 1,000 motors or 1,100 motors in each one of those big thrusters. So we're going to have stacks in the inventory here. 4,000 motors. So I think we're good for motors for the time being. So we'll kill the drills. And let's have a look at... Oh, we wanted to go and get the stuff for that container. And we're still short one interior plate. And the reason for it, I don't know. But we've got the container built now. So, alright, now we can go for the O2H2 generator. So if we stick it sideways, we've got a port on the bottom and on the other end. We've got a port on either side here as well. So if we stick them like that, whoops. And we can have them branch off each other just like this. So we'll stick 3 on here. And then we'll start considering placement for the hydrogen engine, hydrogen tanks. We are now producing hydrogen. Okay. Well, we can produce hydrogen. So our bottle is nearly empty, which that's going to happen fast because gravity is heavy. But if we go down to our survival kit, we can now charge ourselves back up because we have ice. So brilliant. now we're cooking with gas. Our hydrogen bottle being empty, what we can do is throw that into one of the O2H2 generators, and that will refill. And we are good to go. We might make a couple more, we'll just leave it for now. What is sometimes a good idea to do is to have a couple of bottles there, like especially on a planet like this. Like you won't necessarily notice when you've gone down to only what's in your suit, and that doesn't last very long at all. So yeah, I think we'll put another bottle on production. So when we go hunting for gold and platinum, like we're just going to fly around in the suit and check out some ore deposits. We'll take 2 bottles with us. So when we get down to 1 bottle, it's like, yep, okay, we need to consider going back. Now, make sure that we can get back. So put the bottle up a priority. And we'll just get the rest of the basic stuff that we need sorted before getting to space. First off, we've already got an oxygen tank, but we do need hydrogen tanks. That's going to be essential. We should want to start producing and storing hydrogen as soon as possible. So if we go to our tanks, just put in a regular hydrogen tank there. This is going to take a while to fill. So we get 1 going. It will take a long time to fill up. We're going to want a few of these. But yeah, the sooner we get it started filling, like the better off we're going to be. This is probably not the optimal place to put it. We'll probably also want to extend those heavy armor blocks on the top. They're only just covering it. If this gets hit by lightning, it might explode. That would not end well for us. We will have a lot of work go up in smoke, literally. Also, the other thing that we will have happen that we really don't want to is we'll lose all of that hydrogen. That thing holds, I think, 1.5 million liters. So, yeah, we don't want that going anywhere. What we may do, actually, I think we'll get rid of this thing. Because, yeah, we're not going to need it. I don't think we're going to need any of them. Okay, that's 1 down. What else? Where did we put the other ones? We got 2 up there, so let's get rid of those as well. So yeah, we can use the parts for something else, like the big hydrogen thrusters. That's going to be like, we're going to want at least 1 in each lateral direction. We're going to want a downward thruster as well, because we're going to need that for space. We don't necessarily need a big one to start with, but probably wouldn't hurt. And for, like I said before, for every million kilos that we're going to be, we want 1.5 big hydrogen thrusters as the ratio, or maybe even 2 downwards thrusters. So we're going to take off straight up, like with the the floor being flat, and we're going to be heading straight up, like to get to space initially to start with. Once we get to space, before we go there, we want to make sure that we've got enough hydrogen to... Oh, that's something else that we need to do. We need to chuck in a hydrogen engine. So we'll do that now, since we've ground down those motors. We'll chuck it in here. A hydrogen engine. We will probably need a few of these, possibly. But we'll just chuck one in for now. This will burn hydrogen to produce electricity for us. So for moving around space, because we won't have wind up there in space to charge our batteries, this is what we're going to use. And it worked pretty good for it. Okay, we're going to have to move the construction components up the queue. And we are... This is really, really frustrating. Bloody gravel. Again. Okay, we have our the other hydrogen bottle that we had automatically put itself to the O2H2 tank to fill itself up, which was good. I think by default those ones were set to auto refill bottles, so it goes around and collects up all the bottles from around your grid and fills them up for you. Which can be handy, but can also be a pain. Because, yeah, it makes them easy to lose track of. Also, something else that we will probably consider doing is, like, yeah, converting all of this stuff into heavy armor. Just to make it more durable. In case we hit a rock or something like that, we don't want bits and pieces flying off. If the middle one's there, these are going to have to get moved if we want to replace the ones that they're attached to, which is a bit annoying, but we might move them anyway, because that's a bit of a nuisance spot that they're in. We'll extend forward this platform here, make it a little bit longer, and also probably extend the roof forward. It's, as it is now, it's going to be a bit of a brick, but it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't even need to really weld these up. Like, we're probably not going to be destroying it once we get to space, unless we do something really dopey and fly into a big space rock. So try not to do that. But trying doesn't necessarily guarantee success. So, you know, I've done it before, probably do it again. Pretty much guaranteed. We don't need... We just make ourselves some walkways so we don't have to rely on our jetpack. Because even though we can use it, it can be a bit of a pain. And the only reason why I want to be able to walk around is so that way I can figure out what I'm doing. But yeah, gonna get rid of those wheels. That's gonna be great. Not be bound to the ground. Like, we're gonna keep them until, like, because we're gonna move around to pick up this ice. But yeah, we're going to try and do that economically as well. I think something to do next would be to add some more cargo space to it. Don't really want to just come straight out with more cargo containers though. I think we'll stick them up the front here. So these blocks I just put down, I'm going to get rid of. And we'll stick large cargo containers there. I also, rather than using conveyor tubes to run pipe, if I can, I'd rather use the large cargo containers, because they cost the same as a conveyor tube, but you can travel a distance of 3 blocks. They do have a bit of weight to them, but like once we're in space, the weight is like inertia is going to be a problem, but we don't have to fight gravity all the time. So yeah, I use these for connecting things that might be a distance away from each other, because PCU cost is a big deal on this server. Like, it's very easy to blow out the PCU cost. But with more cargo space, it means that we can pick up more stuff and process more stuff whilst we are logged out. Alright. I think the other thing that might need to take a priority is chucking on more assemblers, because this is getting super irritating, having to always go and check the damn thing to see what it's doing, see why we can't actually collect the parts we want to start making progress. So chuck both of those up there. I mean, they are pumping them out fast, but we do have a lot of things queued up, so chuck a couple more on there just to completely get rid of that problem. But yeah, I'm thinking that we're probably going to need somewhere in the vicinity of 8 to 10 downwards thrusters, large downward thrusters to get off the ground, with how much stuff that we're going to end up being able to accumulate on the ground here. We're going to want a lot of hydrogen, we're going to want a lot of ice, just to make sure that we don't end up getting stuck somewhere. Okay, they're done. So now we can like dump more stuff into our cargo container. And we're already up to 8% hydrogen in the tanks there. And also, if we have a look at our hydrogen engine, which is not complete, we would have been able to see how much that was producing. Now we need to turn it off and then on again. And power cycle it to get it to start. Hydrogen engine off, on. Current output's 5 megawatts, so we're using everything it's got at the moment. So we could definitely do with a couple more of those, at least. So what we might do is probably put a cargo container here, then put, like we have a port on the bottom there, and we have a port on the front there, and that's it. So what we'll do is we'll put the cargo container down here, a small one, and we'll have one facing the other way, and then one off of each side of the cargo container, and then also possibly even put one facing backwards. So we'll have another 4 hydrogen engines off of there. Actually, I think we'll just leave that where it is now, the seat. We'll get rid of this. Not a permanent change. That won't let me put stuff in there for some odd reason. Yep, it is definitely running. So we'll start with the 2 on the outside. To start with, we need more interior plates. We don't have any, so going to put 1,000 on production. Also put 1,000 of those. We've already got stacks of motors, but put 1,000 of those. So eventually when it gets done with those, because we are going to need all those things for various other parts. But anyway, we should be able to collect the stuff we need for it now. There we go. No, we don't want a conveyor. So we want a cargo container, a small one. There we go. Okay, chuck a couple more engines down. So this time we're going to be mounting them that way. And the other one why can we not put that there? All right. That one started up. That's good. It means we've connected it properly. And that one started up. Cool bananas. Okay, let's check our power consumption now, or power usage. Now, if we have a look at the first one, that one's going at 5 megawatts. All 3 are going at 5 megawatts. So we are still using all of our power, including the wind turbines and all the hydrogen engines. If we check our batteries, they're probably on discharge. Oh no. Oh, okay. So fully recharged in 23 minutes. That's why our engines are going full tilt. But in 23 minutes time, we will have everything fully charged. If we have a look at the state of our hydrogen tank, we are not increasing the amount of hydrogen in that at the moment. We are using it. So we'll check our inventory. We may have run out of ice. No, we've still got ice. So, and we're still producing hydrogen. So what we will want to look at now to make sure that we've got a positive rate of hydrogen coming in is putting on more O2H2 generators. So we'll just chuck them at the back here on the ends. Just put them on like that. The other thing that's pretty nifty about these things is, like, when they're yellow, they don't have ice. When they're blue, they do have ice. And when they're red, it means they're switched off or they don't have any power. So you can tell at a glance whether or not it's doing what it's supposed to if you have that part visible. It's not really a necessary thing to do, but it's a handy thing. So you can tell without having to go through all the K menu and whatnot as to what's going on. Now if we check our hydrogen tank, we are slowly increasing. So we have a net positive hydrogen production at the moment. So that's good to see. It means that whilst we're sitting here not doing anything else rather than what we're already doing, with all our power usage and whatnot, we still have our joules running as well, so that's unnecessary. But what we'll do is we'll just move it and we'll collect up some more ice. So just thinking about what we're going to do next, it's probably going to be, placement of the hydrogen thrusters, and we're going to have to go and scout out and hand mine cobalt, because we're not going to be able to get out of this little pocket that we've parked ourselves in. Not that we really need to, whilst the ice is here. We want to keep this here anyway, but what we don't need to go for, crazy amounts of hydrogen. So we can get away with just hand mining it and leaving the stone behind out of our suit. same thing with gold and platinum. We don't need like enormous quantities of it at the moment. When we go to build a jump drive, a nuclear reactor, we will need a lot of it, but until that happens, no, we don't. So, and it'll be much easier to build that stuff once we get to space, because we'll just find big pockets of it in asteroids, and it's far more efficient to get out of asteroids. So we'll grab our other hydrogen bottle and we'll go for a fly around and see if we can find some gold nearby. Yeah, I think that'll be the very next thing that we do. So yeah, we'll just we'll dump this stuff back in, and we'll go and scout out and see if we can find cobalt, gold, and platinum. The other thing that we probably want to do is put on a medical bay and cryopod. They're the other two things. We've got a deposit down there, so bust out the drill. If we don't kill ourselves in the process, we've got iron here. So there was one right there. Is there one there? No. There's one over there. Got iron. Cobalt. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to dig down into this. We'll just dig straight down. We'll go for the doom hole approach because we have the jetpack sussed. Now we're not worried about getting out of the hole this time. We'll just fly out. We just need to make sure that we don't run out of power, otherwise we will get lost down here. It would be very hard to find our way out. Try not to pick up stone if we don't have to. Or, more to the point, mine the stone if we don't have to. We've got mountains of it on the truck at the moment, so... Okay, we're full. We'll put a GPS marker down here for the cobalt. Just over the top of the hole. So, K menu. Turn that one off. Turn that one off. And turn that one off. We should have put a GPS marker down for where we were, because we just have to make sure that we find it. If we're in a dust storm, we'd be having a nightmare of a time. Anyway, call that one Pertram cobalt as well, but we're going to leave that one highlighted, and we will go back to our rover and we will GPS mark that so it shows up on the HUD where we're going. That could have been a catastrophic failure there if I hadn't been able to find my way back. Well, we would have had to... what we could have done is backspace and respawned at our survival pod, which is not ideal because we lose our tools, but we can fly back and get our tools. As long as we know... or we'll see the body location come up. But anyway, prevent future dopey moments. We'll just add the... Pertram ice location, and that is where we're parked. So we'll do another cobalt run, and then we'll fly around. We'll look for some platinum and some gold, and we should be set for materials for the time being, at least. Anyway. Now, one of the unfortunate things about this server is they don't have any scripts turned on. A script that's very handy is Izzy's Inventory Manager, and that's very good for making sure that you've got all the stuff that you want on production at any given time. That won't let me put stuff in there. Okay, we'll do another one, because all up that will be about 8 or like close to 9 tons of cobalt. Whoops, hit the ground quite hard there. That was careless. Something else that we're gonna scope out is magnesium. It'd be nice to have, like, even though I don't think that we're gonna get we're going to have other people come along and try to undo all of our hard work here. It would be nice to have something to add a little bit more insurance against that sort of thing. So anyway, back to the sky. Oh, see, we're already down to 1 hydrogen bottle. So we'll refill. Yeah. Refill both of those now. And head off again. Okay, so cobalt was over there. That one there, I'm pretty sure it was the iron deposit. Yep. Which I'm not going to bother marking because there seems to be mountains of it. Okay, what do we got here? More iron. This here, iron. And I've got another one here. Silicon. I don't really need that at the moment. We can get that from the stone, which we have oodles of. Got another one. Is that one? I don't think so. Yeah, no, that's not. But this is silicon. That looks like something there. Silicon. That's nothing. What's this? Cobalt. We've already got cobalt. Closer. Got an unknown signal, which we might go and check that out. What do we got here? We have nickel, might be useful, so We'll add that to the GPS. Let's go get the unknown signal. The nickel's handy for things like batteries, motors, and a few other components when you need a lot of them. But it's not handy all the time. Like, it can be something that just fills up your refinery, takes forever to pressing the wrong key. Oh, the button's on the bottom, that's why I can't find it. Where is it? Just going to take it apart because it won't let me get to the button. Leopard boots. Alright. What is in here? We have a battery, which could be handy, some space bucks, and an enhanced grinder. And there'll probably be a parachute in there as well. We don't really need the enhanced grinder because we've got one that's a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it would have been handy before. But we can always disassemble it for parts if we want, like for materials. But yeah, back to the prospecting. There's a spot. What do we got here? Iron. This is iron as well. That looks like something there. Oh. Iron. Oh, we found another patch of ice here. So we'll mark this down as well because we may end up wanting this too. So GPS, we'll rename this one to that, so that way we know how to get back. And we go new from current position. So it doesn't rain, it pours. In a good way this time though, but managed to find 2 good ice spots. What have we got? Iron. Iron. iron, silicon, silicon, nothing. Nickel. I'm glad we drove down that hill now. We were finding gold like all over the place before. Iron. We should have marked it. Iron. And we're going to have to go back and refill our bottles in a minute. Actually, we should probably do that now. Because that's a problem that we don't want to have to deal with. Walking all the way back. So, refill. And also, because I smashed into the ground earlier, get our health back up to full. And refill both bottles. Just have a quick look at our, all of our O2H2 generators are pumping out gas. So what's the ice situation like? We've got significantly less, or at least that's the small container. So let's have a look in the big one. We've still got mountains. So we can turn the drills off. We don't need to have them running right now, chewing up power. Alright, let's have a look up here. There's a couple of spots. Iron. Iron. There's another spot. Iron. Iron. Nickel. And iron. Cobalt. Silicon. Iron. Cobalt. Silicon. Nickel and cobalt, cobalt, nickel, cobalt, silicon. Might just end up flying back to where we started. This is proving to be very difficult. I haven't seen any platinum anywhere. Haven't seen magnesium for quite some time. We did come across a gold deposit. Oh, there's a ground station. But we don't have any bullets. Let's go get the unknown signal. Oh, we've got 4 rounds of pistol ammo. I mean 4 magazines of pistol ammo, which is enough to irritate somebody. So we got another tool. Where's the button? There's the button. See if we get something I don't have. We didn't get anything. That's... Okay, we're nearly out of hydrogen again. Pertram is not a very economical place for flying around, but that's probably similar to the Space Pirates. It's an NPC base. It probably won't attack us, but we probably can't trade there either. Similar to that other red one that we've seen, the PPP. Okay, silicon and nickel. Alright, head back. So we are a fair way at the moment. Okay, we're going to turn the inertial dampeners off, so that way we don't have to keep pushing forward, just to save our fuel, because I don't know how much we have. We just keep using the spacebar and roughly guide ourselves into the direction that we want to go. Put inertial dampeners back on because we're getting close. And I really don't want to smash into the ground. So drop everything down. We'll keep the battery there because that can be useful. We can use those to recharge our suit when we're like out and about. We don't want to get stuck out in the middle of nowhere with yeah, a flat, like a suit that's not charged up. But what we'll do is we'll back this up now. and drill a little bit more. Drop it right down and run both of those drills, because we don't really we can fill up all 3 cargo containers and just let it do its thing. Pulling out stone. And ice. So make sure that we're always got a good quantity of stone and ice. So that way we're always going to be working towards getting off of Pertram. We don't necessarily need to focus on the stone per se. So raise our height all the way up. And detach and then drive forward, and we'll start running a trench forward. So, got stuck. And plunge it down again. Now we'll try to get as much of the ice out as we can without falling in the hole. What we might do is just drop some blocks down over the parts that we've already drilled out, so that way we can drive over and get the other parts that we haven't drilled out. Because yeah, we want to try and get as much of this out and used up or converted for our use as possible. Because it is so scarce. It's looking like it's going to be an outright mission to try and find the gold and platinum. We got the cobalt. So what we might do instead is work on thruster placement. Rather than prospecting, which has a very limited potential for success. With the hand drill, at least anyway, it's much easier with the large grid ore detector. That's why we were finding it all over the place before. Because we were driving along quite close to the ground with the large grid ore detector. We'll chuck a couple of hydrogen tanks off the side, just having a quick think about how we're going to do this, because I still want to have an access way up through there and stuff like that. So actually might have the hydrogen tanks put a couple of cargo containers off of these, just to drop it down a little bit, and we can try to keep the hydrogen tanks under the metal here. But we'll put one out, and then we'll put a row of like 3 on both sides, and we'll put 3 large hydrogen thrusters pointing downwards on both sides to start with. I think we'll probably end up going for more, because more is always better when it comes to, like, you're better off overdoing having enough thrust than to be conservative with it and not get off the ground, like what happened with the atmospheric thrusters. We attempted it and we failed it. It was well, I wouldn't even say it was a valiant effort, because it wasn't even that. It was abysmal at best. I mean, yeah, it was an outright, like, we did get a little bit of use out of it. We got down here, but we're stuck down here now, in this hole. Once we run out of all the ice here, that will prove to be problematic. Okay, we're going to rearrange our production stuff again. So we'll chuck all of the metal grids into the one thing, because we don't have the cobalt refined. Alright, we need to empty out our assembler again by the look of things. Yep, it filled up with silicon again, annoyingly. And build planner is empty. We'll add all of that stuff to production a few times. We need those metal grids. Okay, so we'll rearrange our assembler a little bit. We've got stacks of metal grids. What's going on? Why won't it let us have them? Alright, go back into our build planner. We'll get rid of everything that's in there. We will redo the build planner again. I don't know what is going on with this. Okay, that's done. I'm doing each side bit by bit because the only reason for that is normally I will end up doing in the entire of one side and trying to match up the other side with it and end up botching it somehow. If you were in creative mode, you could just turn symmetry on and it would make things easier. You can't do that here in creative, it seems. So yeah, one there, stick one there, and that way they're going to be clear of the wheels. Not the, like, we need to keep the wheels, but what we'll also do is move or extend out the armor blocks out the top to cover the top of this. We won't put the large thrusters on the top until we're ready to start looking at actually flying somewhere. The reason why we want to put these up here is because lightning will get us if we don't. Like, it's already shown to be quite evident. And if it takes out that tank there, the other 3 tanks are going to hit the deck. And if we have any fuel stored in them, that fuel is going to go away. We don't want that. That is a horrible outcome. So, okay, have a look at the other side. Yep. We need more steel plate. What we can do is just put a huge amount of steel plate on production. We don't need the space credits on us all the time. And it's not like we can't get more later anyway. Something else that once we get into space and we can start traveling around a bit, we'll find some friendly NPC space stations and we'll do some trading there and make some space bucks. Potentially even setting up a safe zone around our ship. So that way, yeah, when we're not, we can have it so that, like, we can convert it into a station, turn the safe zone on, and whilst we're not there, we can have it be protected. So that way people can't come and destroy us. So if the server does pick up and start getting busy, we don't have to worry about people coming and ganking our stuff when we are not online. Okay, so I think that's going to be we might want to go for a 4th one, but on the bottom of each one of these outside hydrogen tanks, I'm going to put a big thruster. We may have to move these wheels out of the way before we do that, but we'll just work on getting these done up first. We did put a lot of parts on production, so hopefully we've got a lot of stuff already ready to go. Now this would be a lot easier with a ship to weld it up, but at the same time, that's another thing that we'd have to build, whereas we just persevere with it. What else is on our build planner? No, we've only got the one thing, so we've just got a lot of extra stuff that we're carrying at the moment. So we'll just focus on doing this. If you start from a connected part and work your way up from there, then what you're going to do is save yourself a bit of effort, because I can just go here to collect all the parts now. And like I said, like, it's so much easier running with the jetpack and don't have to worry about all the scaffolding and all of that business. But I thought, like, yeah, I'll do it that way, like, as a fun challenge, and also to demonstrate what you'll have to go through in a really difficult sort of start with no hydrogen at all. But now we've got the ice. The build planner is empty, so that didn't finish itself off properly. But yeah, like, I think we might be able to get to space sooner rather than later. Like, once we've got all these built up, it's going to take a while to weld up all the hydrogen thrusters with hand tools, especially considering we don't have platinum tools. But we will. Like, we're on the second top tools at the moment, so it's not the worst that it could be. It's just not the best it could be. The big thing that we're going to have to wait for is getting the ice processed into hydrogen. But the other thing as well is if we can get our hydrogen thrusters built whilst we're sitting here processing this, hopefully we can get it built before we finish like all the ice that's available here. That way we can get out of this crater sort of thing that we're kind of in. We're walled around in every direction. There's no way we could... Oh, we might be able to drive out there. No, it would be very difficult to try and drive out here. Like this rock here. Like if we drilled that out, we might be able to drive out there. But it would be much easier just to fly out. So we'll aim to do that. That one. And the last one for now. Try and get to, yep, there we go. Okay, they're all done. Now we'll chuck on our hydrogen thrusters. We'll stick two big ones going forwards, two big ones going back, two on each side going outwards, and we'll put the 6 on the bottom, and we'll see how we go. We may need to move those wheels. It's likely that we're going to have to move those wheels. But at the moment, we'll just have a quick look at the mass of the entire vehicle as well. So we'll look at the bare minimum we can get away with. We're at 2.5 million kilos now. That's quite heavy. So we're going to want at least 4 hydrogen thrusters to get stably off the ground. So we may even stick 4 on the back for forwards thrust. Just so that way if we do want to cheap out when we go to fly to space, we can go up at a 45-degree angle and leverage these 6 plus those 4 on the back. Just save us a little bit of grief there, or like just give us a little bit of a I'd rather not die sort of method of getting out of it. So anyway, we'll add in our hydrogen thrusters now. So add them in there. Doesn't matter whether you use the industrial ones or the standard ones, but we do want the big ones. Need steel plate. The other thing that we're going to want to do is turn them off. As soon as we place them, we'll go through and select them all and turn them off. Right, we'll place as many as we can. See, I can't place the other ones here yet because the wheel's obstructing it. So, but what I can do is place these ones here. This one here. Yeah, I think I'll put 4 on there. I think it'll look cooler with 4. chuck a couple on there. I think we'll, rather than stick the ones on the front, I think we'll extend out and we'll go for 8 on 4 on each side. Like we'll chuck on an extra hydrogen tank, just because we may as well like give it the best chance for success. So we'll go for way extra rather than just a little extra. So select our hydrogen tank again. Just chuck that on there. I mean, we could even get away with just putting one in the middle on the front, which might be a smarter thing to do, but the thing is we'll have to remove it if we wanted to extend out the middle. So that could be a little bit of a pain, but anyway. So put that to build planner and start dumping in our parts for this tank. And done. Weld it up. Jetpack fuel is low, and it told me that as I was running out, and this is why I kept that side step in there, because I wasn't paying enough attention to whether or not I was going to end up hitting a deck. We were welding up that one. Now you don't have to go this overboard with it. You could build something a lot smaller than this to get the job done. But we're going for the full mobile base type situation here. And this is how I do it. It doesn't necessarily mean this is how you have to do it, but this is the way that I found works best for me. It is big, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. In a lot of ways, it's a lot better because, yeah, we don't run into the same sort of problems as something much smaller would. And it didn't pull up that other piston for some odd reason. Check our inventory. We'll see how we're going with that. Where we've used up about half the ice so far that we drilled last time. Although we've got a stack there, put it together, so we can better keep an eye on it. Little bit of ice. Well, that's the ice that we started with in the small cargo container. But what we'll do is we'll roll forward a little bit more and drill some more ice out. So jack our wheels up and also, because we're adding so much extra stuff to the ship right now, our suspension is not going to be able to cope with it soon. So we're going to start running into problems with that. The suspension collapsing and the landing gear just constantly locking. So that's something else that we'll have to keep in mind. We may need to adjust it, so because we are pulling a lot of stuff out as well as adding a lot of stuff on. But what we may even do, like, we don't necessarily have to do it right now, but we can add like a bridge section, and if we build it with the intention of being all airtight, we do that up the front. Up here, like, we can just stick it on the front, have it come out past all of this stuff here, and make a nice area at the front here for us to sit in, and it won't look completely brick-like. Like, we don't have to... Like, we could always move these containers, put them in front in line and keep it narrow in the front and have these side bits stick out to try and make it look a little bit different. But anyway, we'll get back to welding up this stuff. So I clicked on that twice to add to build planner, annoyingly. I haven't turned these off yet. Also, if I have a look at my inventory, I see that I've got a lot of extra parts in there that are not associated with whatever I'm building. Now, we're not going to go flying off into the sunset accidentally because we are locked to the ground at the moment with that landing gear. But we do still want, like, let's just do it now. We'll turn them all off. Probably going to have to do this several times. But yeah, we'll turn them all off now, so that way they don't use up, like they do use power, hydrogen when they're sitting there idle. We don't want to use up any hydrogen unless we're actually flying. We want to try and be as conservative with our fuel usage as we can at the moment. Once we get into space, we'll find a nice big asteroid full of ice, and yeah, we won't be having the same sort of... Let's clear out build planner first. Select it again. So that way we're not grabbing parts for something that we've already finished. If you can try and stay close to a conveyor port when you're doing this, it makes it a lot quicker to weld it all up, because you can only carry so much stuff. Using a ship to weld up something is great, but it also has a bit of a tediousness to it. For example, when you have to load the ship up or something like that, like normally what I would be inclined to do is have a ship with a shitload of raw materials on it, or a shitload of everything that I want. If you wanted to print out something, you want to make sure that you've got all the parts ready to go prior to starting printing. Otherwise you'll end up putting holes in, which you may have to grind out stuff, and it can be very difficult to find parts you've missed. So, but that's like kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here. This is just a beginner type deal. Now these are going to be a little bit more of a pain to get part. Oh no, it's not going to be too bad. I think I can reach that without having to move. Yeah, I think we're good. Now, this is why I queued up all those parts earlier on, so that way I could get them all made and I didn't have to wait around for it like we did with the atmospheric thrusters, where, you know, we were waiting a lot of the time and, you know, right on the edge of what we'd built and whatever. Like, I think we're getting close to all the metal grids we've got. So we might want to go and do something else. We'll check to see how our inventory is looking. But yeah, we've nearly got one side of the, well, other than the downwards thrusters, because we're going to have to add 6 more on after we figure out what we're doing with the wheels. But yeah, let's check our inventory. Yeah, because we need 250 metal grids for each one, so we're going to have to refine a lot more cobalt, I think. We still have a few, but yeah, we have nowhere near enough. If we have a look at production queue on our... Yeah, see, we have got nothing coming in at the moment, so let's check our refinery. We are refining cobalt. Just get rid of that scrap because that makes a lot quickly. This refinery here is not doing anything with cobalt. So what we might do is, if we have a look, see if we have any in the storage container. We've got some in the basic refinery, so we'll move that over because that's what we want to prioritize at the moment. In fact, rather than use the basic refinery, we'll put that in the bigger refinery. And we'll go and mine some more cobalt. Go and get a couple more loads of that in there. Over there. I wonder what that is. Ah, it's iron. Could have been gold. Could have been platinum. Okay. And yeah, we'll load up our refineries with cobalt and just try and smash out a bunch of that. Because, yeah, the metal grids are stopping us from getting those engines done at the moment. I did say in the video description, as well as at the start of the video, I wanted to get flying today. We may still do that. I forgot to check to see, or start my stream timer again, so I don't know how long we've been at this. We've been live for a bit over 2 hours now, so still got plenty of time on this stream. So yeah, we may actually get to go flying, we're just not the way we originally intended. Rather than go for an aircraft type situation with jet engines, we're going for rocket surgery. Which I do find easier. Using the hydrogen thrusters is my preferred way of like moving the ship around. Because they are the most powerful engines. The only thing is you do need to make sure that you always have enough fuel. That's the only drawback of it. Ion thrusters are great for space, but they're not great for anything else. Like as far as atmospheres go and stuff like that. I do use a combination of, like, I'll put some ion thrusters on like each direction, but like, yeah, I usually put them on there as a form of redundancy, so if I do run out of hydrogen I can still maneuver around, and that's usually after I've got excessive amounts of electricity, like, because they use a lot of electricity. You want to have a big nuclear reactor before you put ion thrusters on there, because you won't be able to keep up with the batteries and hydrogen engines. You just won't be able to produce enough to make it consistent and reliable, and ultimately you're going to be using a lot of hydrogen anyway to try and run those, because you'll use a lot of hydrogen engines to try and keep your batteries charged and whatnot. So you may as well just skip the middleman and focus on the hydrogen thrusters for moving around, and ion thrusters just as a backup But yeah, once you go nuclear, everything is a lot better. Like you have way more power than you need, and you can make a lot with the same PCU cost. So you know, like the nuclear reactor is 300 megawatts, the large one, and that's a lot. Except when it comes to running a safe zone. If you have a safe zone set up, the most amount that a safe zone will draw is 300 megawatts. So you will, if you want to set that up, you will need to dedicate a nuclear reactor to that if you want to have a maximum radius for the safe zone. You don't have to go that big with the safe zone. If you make it smaller, the percentage smaller you make it, the percentage less electricity it uses. So on one of the other servers, the faction that I'm running over there, we have a safe zone set up around our base, and it works quite well. We haven't had anybody try to get in it that shouldn't be, except for one time where I accidentally shared my med bay and a couple of people spawned in the base, but it tried to eject them out and they got stuck in there until they eventually died. So it protected the base even from my own stupidity. So but I was still getting the hang of how to configure them at the time. Anyway, let's rearrange this now. Go back into no, we want to stay in the inventory, have a look at the refinery, and we're going to put, and cobalt is on production for everything, or refining. So we have a look at production now. We go to our industrial assembler. Okay, we go back to the inventory, and we're going to have to probably clear out the industrial assembler. Because, yep, we're full of gravel again. It's not gravel, it's silicon. So we're going to be using up nickel. We are going to have to get one of those refineries to focus on stone, or we'll use the basic refinery. Stick the cobalt in there. Actually, we're going to make gravel with our survival kit, so we'll just like chuck a stupid amount of gravel in there, so that will just keep on making gravel. Whilst it's there. I mean, we'll probably end up getting rid of this survival kit sooner, well, as soon as we can build a med bay anyway, because it is getting irritating having that be the default thing. Anyway, so now we're always going to have nickel and iron and silicon being produced, as well as our good old friend gravel. So even if, because the cobalt will automatically get pulled to the other things, and we are getting prevented from manufacturing stuff at the moment because we keep running out of other parts like nickel predominantly. So we do have probably, actually, we'll have a look and see if we still have stacks of iron, because we have made a lot of stuff. Still got a fair bit there. We'll just hide the empty stuff. A little bit there. We do have a lot of nickel still, comparatively to not having much. And we have an enormous amount of iron. So yeah, we don't have to stress about running out of iron too soon. Cobalt is going to be the big thing, but we do need to keep an eye on making sure we don't run out of nickel there. I've got a lot more iron there. Chuck it in there. Makes it easier to keep track of. And it's just started raining. Brilliant. If this gets too loud, I might have to cut the audio on the stream for a little bit. I'll keep plugging away with the music going and stuff. I don't... Yeah, if there's anything notable to say, like, if the rain starts getting too loud, I don't know how well, or if the rain is coming through or not, but yeah, if it does start getting noticeably louder, I'll cut the audio on the mic for a bit, just leave the music, and yeah, we'll keep plugging away at it. I think we'll go back to welding up stuff if we can. Yeah, we'll just see where we're at. Still got to put on the forward thrusters. Alright, the rain stopped. I think what else we'll look at doing is, well, I suppose we still need to make sure we can move with the wheels at the moment. Just thinking about it, how to go about the next step. Because we're mining the ice and we are stuck to the ground at the moment, the wheels are useful, so I don't really want to take them out just to put the thrusters down. It would be nice if I could, but it's going to be a lot of effort to move those wheels across just to keep them there. So I think we'll just focus on the ice mining there and doing what we can with it. We'll also make up all the parts that we need for the other thrusters now. Get them all put on production. We'll chuck another 10 thrusters on the the production queue. What am I doing? So yeah, we'll stick 10 more on there. So we'll make up the rest of the parts that we need. Even though this is going to take some time. What we might also do, well, yeah, we can't really go much faster unless we were to, I suppose we could put the speed modules on. Let's just chuck speed modules all over this. We'll clean up our build planner first. I've welded up what I can, but yeah, if we chuck the speed modules on our refinery, it's not going to be running super efficient, but as far as getting the most out of whatever we put into it, but we will pump through it a lot faster. So at the moment we are struggling for cobalt. So yeah, this is a compromise method. I'd rather have the yield modules, but because we can't do it at the moment, we may as well do what we can do. And that also, like, that'll increase the efficiency of this quite significantly as far as speed goes. Rather than, like, you know, getting the most out of what we put into it. But yeah, at the moment, waiting for cobalt to be processed is getting tedious. So let's have a look at our production queue again. We'll just rearrange that to be a priority, and that. And yeah, we'll go and get some more cobalt out of the ground. Because we can always just take those speed modules off later. So it's not... In retrospect, it probably would have been smarter to do the yield modules when we found the gold before. I was not making the smartest of choices by not picking up the gold at the time, but I thought, oh, we're finding it easy. We should be able to find it pretty easy. It turns out, no, I was mistaken. Should have capitalized on the opportunity when it was available. All right. Says we got everything now, and yet we are still not managing to finish everything off. we're going to use a bit more power this way as well. There is another module that you can put on, the power efficiency module. So if you are really struggling for power, you can use the power efficiency modules. I don't know how effective they are because I haven't actually ever used one. I've always been about either trying to get the most out of a rare commodity, or rare at the time, like uranium, for example. You want to, like, that's very slow to process, and you don't get much out of like the ore that you mine, so you want to try and maximize the amount or the yield that you get from that. Whereas with the assemblers, you want them to pump out your parts as fast as possible. So I will go for the speed mod. Like the yield modules don't do anything on the assembler. You can put them on there, but it's a waste of time. Because yeah, nothing happens as far as I know. So we'll inch it forward a little bit and take another run at the ice. Now you can see that we've almost filled 10% of our tanks, and we've got a lot more tanks now, so that's why, like, it looks like it hasn't really gone up much. It actually, there's quite a lot in there. All up, we've got 11 hydrogen tanks, and we're 10% full of that, so that means that we've got 1.5 million litres of hydrogen stored in across all of our capacity at the moment. So that's quite substantial. We'll reverse those drills. We don't necessarily need to go after the stone. We want to pick up the ice, and the ice only goes down a little way, so and yeah, while we're waiting for the parts to get assembled, just do a little bit of operating the drill rig here. You want to make sure I get all of that ice out. If you have a look at the mass, that's slowly creeping up as well. Something else that we will have to do as the mass gets high, like it is getting quite high now, it's not unmanageably high. Like, we'll be able to still take off of the surface with the 8 thrusters that we have, even if we got up to, let's say it got up to 4 million kilos or a little bit higher than that, we'll still be able to take off. But what we want to do is we will want to... That didn't have the desired result. Yeah, the thing that we're going to have to really increase the quantity of is gyros as well. They're going to take like a little bit of time to put in and make sure that they're all working properly and all the rest of that sort of business. Like we've got enough power to run them all whilst we're doing everything else. Like it's not huge, but just making sure that we have enough so that way we can maintain stability. If we're trying to take off and we don't have enough sideways thrust or whatever to overpower gravity, and we get too far on an angle when we're trying to maneuver, that's not going to end well. So yeah. Whereas if we make sure that we have plenty of gyros, we're going to have enough like impulse to rotate however we need to. Okay, once that's back up, I'll turn off the drills and we'll check our inventory. We'll see how we're going. We should have stacks of ice now. And yes, we do. We have huge amounts of ice. Like this container is completely full now with like everything else as well as the ice. And this one has a couple of 100,000 kilos of ice in it. Cobalt's still plugging away. We've got ice in this container's like halfway full of ice, although we are pumping through it quite fast, which is good. It's the benefit of having all those O2H2 gens. They're just smashing through it for us. I have a look at our hydrogen tanks as well. So see, we've got one that's nearly half full there. Second one, 4%, 5.8, 5.8. We got one that's nearly full. So if we added all the rest together, we'd end up with one complete full. In fact, what we can do is if we stockpile that, we'll fill up that tank entirely. So we've almost got one full tank of hydrogen, which is good. It's not what we're going to need, but it is definitely a very, very good step in the right direction for where we want to end up. I'll refill my bottles as well. So I noticed that I only had one full. So chuck these in here. Alright. Actually, before I start flying around, I'll have a look at the build planner. The build planner is empty, so we'll chuck back. I'm pretty sure I've done everything but the metal grids, so we'll just go and grab a bunch of metal grids. Like as many as we can carry each time. Yeah, we might have enough to get the thrusters that we've done so far finished. In fact, I am going to use the build planner again, so that way I don't have to go through the menu looking for stuff. And the next thing that we'll do is we'll completely strip out all of the ice that we can in this strip. After we've got these thrusters done, then once we've stripped out all the ice, we will take off the wheels so we can put the other thrusters down, and then we can also, the other thing that we'll do is chuck some heavy armor blocks on the bottom, so that way we can land on those without smashing them. If we try to land on light armor blocks, we'll end up destroying them. So we'll chuck some heavy armor blocks down there on the bottom of the craft or ship it's turning into. Then we'll take the wheels off, or actually put the thrusters on, then do the feet. And the reason why I use the heavy armor blocks for the feet is because they don't lock on. They're cheap for PCU cost, and you can just plonk it down wherever we like without having to worry about them getting caught on stuff or locking on accidentally or whatever. I find that the landing gear can be a bit of a pain in the ass as far as that goes. The other thing that we'll need to do before we go to space, but it's not crucial at the moment, is chucking some... We'll probably only chuck 2 upwards thrusters on here on the top. Like, I think that's all we'll really need. But yeah, it's starting to come together nicely. So yeah, we'll do a little more drilling. I'm pretty sure our cargo containers are not all full. Like, we have one that's completely empty, so yeah, we'll keep digging for a bit. And, we've got a couple of hydrogen thrusters that are fired up. So, select all of those. And whilst we're at it, we'll chuck them in the group. So that way we can turn them on or off as we need to. So just try and inch forward a little bit, if it'll let us. Turn the drills back on and plunge them both down. just fill up as much as we can on ice. Before we take the wheels off, at least, anyway. The only reason why I keep the landing gear there is being a bit of a pain in the ass because it is locking on and making it very hard to inch forward. But we need it to make the wind turbines do their thing. We can't just put the handbrake on the wheels. We need to have the landing gear lock it to the ground. We will still, like, if we're going to use the wind turbines still, which we could probably get rid of them soon. At the moment, they're still useful. But yeah, I mean, once we're looking like we're ready to go to space, yeah, we're going to take them off because it's just extra weight that we don't need. I mean, we're still going to have the components for it, but it's not grid weight. It's cargo mass, which can be used for other things. Like, and yeah, we will have a landing gear on there so that we can lock onto stuff, or we'll put them on as we need to, similar to what we've been doing anyway. Like, if we wanted to carry something or dock to something or something like that, it's not overly hard to just throw a landing gear on there and use that to connect on. But more often than not, what we'd rather do is connect to a docking port or connector port. So that way we can transfer materials or cargo or whatever. In the NPC safe zones, you can't use the landing gear anyway, but you can use the connectors. So if we want to go and sell like a bulk materials or something like that, rather than carry them on your person, you can just use the ship's inventory to sell materials to the store, or to complete acquisition missions, which are good for getting space credits, which the only reason why you'd want to put effort into getting space credits is to buy zone chips. Zone chips, you need to have a zone chip for every hour that you want to run your safe zone. You need a zone chip, and you need 5 zone chips as well to build the safe zone generator. So which will, once we get into space and we start getting all the other stuff that we need, we're going to look at obviously jump drives and nuclear reactors and stuff like that first. But once we've got our ship all set up well, we're going to stay mobile for the most part, but we will look at putting a a safe zone on there. Every time we want to engage a safe zone, we'll have to convert the ship into a station. But that's also something that's not overly complicated to do. So, in much the same way that we converted it to a ship initially, you just convert it to a station the same way as what we did there. And I think that was in the very first episode I did that, or maybe it was the second one. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, you just do that from the info tab. in the K menu. Didn't quite go far enough down. Check our inventory, see whether or not we're managing to fill up that cargo container. They're a lot fuller than they were. Small ones full. Those ones are not. So we've still got room. $487 and 694. So if we chuck all the ice into the same one, we've maxed out that container there. So we have an entire container of ice to process. We currently have 10%. We can still get more. So we are very, very heavy. Okay, so we're going to have to look at our wheels, increase the suspension strength. There we go. Now we're not getting stuck on the ground. Can't really move too well, but what are we up to? It's almost 3.4 million kilos mass. So we've significantly increased our mass. Drop the gear down. Get those turbines going again. And the only reason why I keep them going is because they're there. We may as well. Like, in comparison to the height, like it takes about, like, with those things running at optimum, they were getting about 500 kilowatts. One hydrogen engine does the same as 10 of those. So not overly concerned about whether or not we have the wind turbines doing their job. We will get rid of them, but at the moment they're there to be used, so we'll just use them. Helps if I press the correct key. But I think that would probably be enough ice for the meantime, because we're going to have to lighten ourselves up quite a bit. We're going to have to process all that ice. The hydrogen, like, we will lose weight by processing the ice, as well as throwing out the gravel once we've done processing all that stone. But the hydrogen tanks don't increase weight as they fill up in the game. So yeah, by processing the ice, we lose weight and gain fuel. So that's another thing that makes them a very efficient thing in the game. So what we'll do now is we'll chop up our wheels and add on the last, 6 hydrogen thrusters, and we'll see if we can go flying. So yeah, we'll get onto that now. So yep, grinding down time for the wheels. They've done their job. They served us well. except for one of them that decided to give up the ghost and decide to leave the grid. But, you know, it can always be said that that was my own silly fault for driving like a maniac. It's going a lot faster than I thought I was, and we got air. So I suppose our first flight was not actually with powered lift. Not conventionally powered, or not preferably powered, at least anyway, I suppose is the best way to say it. Because we were powered, just not up. Is it classed as a flight when you jump? And I wouldn't have even said it was as good as Toy Story's Falling with Style. Like, because, yeah, that was quite tragic when that happened. And realistically, I should not have been surprised when we did that. That was complete balk. Yeah, we are almost nearly officially not a rover anymore. And something else to take note of as well, with the approach that I'm doing here, we are using one ship to go to space from the surface of a planet. So, like, taking that into account, like, yeah, I think we've done pretty well. So, anyway, we'll grab some heavy armor blocks and we'll make the feet. So, we need steel plate. We'll grab a bunch more. And we'll turn off those engines as well. I mean, those drills. Put some angle plate here. And we can use light armor for the next bit up. And we'll do the same on the front. We'll leave the drills on because we can just land our ship and plunge the drills down from wherever we land. So if we happen to come across a particular ore deposit that's on the surface that we like the look of, yeah, we can take full advantage of it. Yeah, that looks like that will be the way to go. And just put one landing gear at the front, so we'll take these off. One pad sort of type thing. So yeah, we'll just have the 3 spots to set down on. We will weld these up, just so they're a bit more durable. But we won't be able to release ourselves from that landing gear until we have got thrusters going. So anyway, what was I doing? I was doing this. And that will be plenty. Okay, so grab mountains of steel plate. We are going to be welding for a long time, trying to weld that stuff up. Now, when we get to space, we will build a welding ship, because welding up the heavy steel plate is a very time-consuming, nightmarish process. I don't want to sit here just welding shit. Weld 2 blocks, go and get more stuff, weld 2 blocks. With the thrusters and stuff like that, it's fine, but when you have to do an entire floor, no, that's a horrible experience at the best of times. So let's just finish off these thrusters and let's go flying. So hang on, where we got? There we go. So we want number 6. Grab, yeah, more steel plate. So, yep, we'll place the rest of the thrusters, weld them up the same way as what we have been. We'll chuck the top ones on as well. We'll just get the bottom ones welded up first, and then we'll chuck the top ones on. So that way, if there are any sneaky thunderstorms that want to come along and try and ruin our time, although we don't have those tanks covered, but at the moment, yeah, we'll just try and get this finished. Because, yeah, there are no thunderstorms in space either. That's something else to look forward to. We didn't turn them off, but we're not going anywhere, so we'll just get them done. That one's already done. Having a moment. Now, if we do manage to find all the stuff for like gold and platinum and all that before we get enough hydrogen to get to space. Oh, we're running it. Jetpack was out. Hopefully I can get up there and oh no. Alright. That's not brilliant. Pinch that. And back to welding. Okay, we'll turn those thrusters off, or add them to the group and turn them off. Okay, we're at 12% fuel. So theoretically, I think we might be able to actually get to space with the fuel that we have, but we don't know where any space rocks up there, like asteroids and stuff, are. So best bet is to... Well, we do have a lot of ice on board. We are very heavy though as well, so best to probably stay close to the ground. What I'll do is we will chop off that landing gear, or we'll turn the thrusters on, see if it actually flies. We'll move that landing gear up another one so it's in line with those feet that we put on. So it will lock down with those feet at the same height. So that way we don't have any hassles with that. I can get rid of, or they need to change the, well, I'm going to have to get that out of the way anyway. But yeah, having the foot down at that height is the same height as the legs over there. So it's sort of like an emergency way up if we need it. Like if we run out of hydrogen again. With the mass that we have and only 3 gyros, that's not ideal. So might be a good idea to stick some more on. Let's have a look around and see if there's a better place for them. Probably chuck them up there, I think. So we'll select our gyros, chuck a couple there. And we'll do the same on the other side. Add them to production. I'll add 2 lots to production. Chuck a couple more here. I didn't need to add it to the build planner, but for some silly reason I did it anyway. Do need to add that to the build planner. Okay, now we have 7 gyros. I think that might be enough. So we can take it on our first proper flight, in theory. The other thing that we want to do is put our backwards thrusters, the ones on the front there, on a separate group. So what we can do is where our wheels were, I'll put the engines group. So, hang on, I'll add the hydrogen thrusters, the backwards ones. So we got one of them there. What? So yeah, that's both of them. Same as what I did with the ion thrusters. I mean, not the ion thrusters, the atmospheric thrusters. Even though we never actually got to use them, it's the same principle. So H2 back, I'll stick on number 4, toggle on or off. And the other one is just the H2 thrusters, like all of them, and toggle them on or off. So if we toggle them all on now, we have power, and we have liftoff. How good is that? We're still turning quite boatishly, but we are now mobile. So let's drop back down. Even with all of that ice, we are still good. So we're going to leave it hovering for a bit. We're going to reconfigure the way we've got that front landing gear arranged. So we'll chop off this. And get rid of that. And what we'll do is we'll get a heavy armor block, come out 2 with that, and we'll stick the landing gear on the front. So that way we can land flat and have it locked to the ground and still make use of our wind turbines and keep it stable on the ground, so that way we don't have to worry about any of the silliness of something sliding down a hill unexpectedly. We don't want 3 megatons or 3.5 megatons of like metal that we've put all of this effort into trying to do something specific, turning into 3.5 megatons of scrap. So we'll just level it off, try as best we can to line up with our strip that we're drilling into the ground, kill our engines, and we can commence drilling again. And we are now space ready for the most part. So in that short time, we just used up 2% of the hydrogen reserves that we had. Pertram has got a very heavy gravity. The other thing that is a benefit now is we don't necessarily have to worry about falling in that hole that we've dug, because we're not stuck to the ground anymore. So we can just pick our whole ship up, fly it forward a little bit, or even turn it around so we can back up and keep the trench going. But yeah, we actually got flying today. How good is that? achievement. So yeah, even though that was a pretty dinky first flight, it was officially a first very well controlled flight with everything working exactly how I wanted it to. So yeah, we're good to go. We just need to let our hydrogen store build up, so that way, yeah, we've got a good margin for error, which I find I need more often than not. We also need to chuck on the hydrogen thrusters on the top, because we will need those once we get into space. If we don't have those, then we are, yeah, we're going to have a bad time. So anyway, back up a little bit, drop it back down here, kill the engines, and drop our drill. So yeah, for the rest of the time here, I think we're just going to look at making sure that we've got a good amount of ice to process whilst we're offline. We'll leave it locked to the ground. What am I doing? I might only use one of those pistons and speed it up. I keep pressing the wrong damn thing. I mean, the other thing that we could do is start look at shaping a cockpit and welding that up, or like, you know, a decent looking one. At the moment, it's not essential. Oh, cryopod. We can always have a look and see if we can chuck a cryopod in now, because that will mean that I won't act like, if I put myself in the cryopod at the end of the stream, I'm not going to die. So let's have a look at doing that. Can I do a cryopod? Yes. Okay, so we're going to need at least, I think it was interior plate. Yeah, it is. Medical components. We should be able to make those. Yep. Okay, now we're not going to die every time we log out. Just jump in that and we'll be good. Although that's a bit annoying. But you know what? I'm going to stick some blocks along there so I can walk around this side of it. Should have grabbed more. All right. Add some more over here just to not run the risk of walking off the edge all the time. as much. Try to limit the failure rate. Works in theory, rarely in practice. That was for when we were using it as a lift. We don't really need that because we have jetpacks going again. So we'll move again. So I'm only going to use one of the pistons now, and I'm just going to push it down faster. So let's go for piston 1. We'll increase the speed to 5 because we were running 0.5 meters a second. I'm just going to quickly grab as much ice as I can. So fill up as much as we can, and we'll log out and let that process overnight. And yeah, hopefully by morning we'll have stacks of hydrogen, stacks of everything all ready to go. So that way we can grind off our wind turbines and take it to space. And once we're in space, what we'll do is we'll have a look around at the asteroids, and we'll start mining them. We'll change the drilling configuration. We'll stick it on the front, so that way we can just plunge in forward into ore deposits that we come across and stuff like that, and as efficiently as possible. Try to extract as much ores as we can, and look at putting a stone ejector on there, and also a gravel ejector. We'll only worry about gravel and stone when we specifically want them. Otherwise, we're just going to chuck them off the ship, not bother processing them. We'll just process iron, silicon, all the major, or all the ores themselves. We'll look at doing it that way. a lot of times I will just let the stone run itself through, but I'm gonna try do it a little bit more efficiently. See what results we can get. But whilst we've got a bit of hydrogen, I'm just gonna move around and plunge in and take out as much as we can, and then we'll park up and call it a day. We'll be in space by the next episode. Well, at the beginning, hopefully, of the next episode, if we've got enough hydrogen to get up there and to power ourselves whilst we're up there. Pertram doesn't have any moons, I don't think. So, and we are also a long way from the other planets in the system. So what we're going to be looking for is, well, improving the efficiency of our refineries, putting on a bunch more refineries, and mining the crap out of asteroids. And also we're going to chuck in a bunch more assemblers. Eventually what we want to build up to is get all the stuff we need for a nuclear reactor first. So that way, if we manage to find uranium, then yeah, we're definitely going to go for the nuclear reactor. But actually probably what we'll do first is look at putting jump drives on. We'll start with one, obviously, and that will allow us to potentially travel to other planets in the system, ones with more resources, and also like more NPC locations, like the shops and stuff like that. So we can look at doing stuff there. Like, I think maybe the first stop after we get off of Pertram is to head over to Titan, which is the moon of the alien world. The alien world has also got heavy gravity, but Titan does not, and Titan is also a very good place to pick up ores, like platinum, gold, and silver are very easy to find there, so that might be a good place to go, spend a little bit of time. It is a pretty popular place to go though, because it's relatively easy to get started there. It's probably easier than the moon because it does have a slight atmosphere, so you can do the same trick that I did with the air vent to fill up the oxygen tanks. You could do that on Titan as well, but there is ice aplenty on Titan. So I think we'll make that our next stop, like once we've got the jump drives built. But yeah, like the goal is to be in space like the next time we log in. And yeah, we're down to 5% of our hydrogen left, which is, we are using it up very fast, but again, we are in a very heavy gravity planet, so something that wasn't unexpected. But yeah, this will be the last plunge. Okay, I'm going to kill the engines. Probably should have checked to see that the landing gear was locked, and it's still not locked. Okay, I'm going to actually take off and park up a little bit better than that. That was horrifying. Okay, I don't know what we're stuck on. Let's add the landing gear to... No, the landing gear is broken, that's why we're stuck. Alright. Well, we can turn our power off now. We can put it in sleep mode. Or can we? We'll just do that from this menu. Stick it in... actually, no. yeah, might as well, because we want to try and create as much. So we'll turn off the basic assembler, turn off the gyroscope, there, turn that off, save them to it. So the auto detector's off. So all we're doing now is making sure that the batteries are nearly charged, and we're just going to focus on making, like, we don't want to have the hydrogen engines focusing on powering anything but making ice. So we should see we're down to 37% in the first tank there. So hopefully we'll have a good store of, yeah, we are increasing, so that's good news. So yeah, in the next one we will be going to space. Actually, we'll turn off our drills as well, because why the hell do we want them going and we are not actually drilling anything? Yeah, we will be going to space in the next episode, provided that nothing happens. We've got 2 more thrusters to add, but that's no big deal. 2 more large thrusters will stick on top. We'll also chop off those wind turbines when we're ready to go. Probably we'll do the 2, the back middle ones there. We'll take out those ones first, chuck those thrusters on top of there, and then grind down all the rest of the wind turbines and go to space. And yeah, we'll start looking at some space rocks and getting all of that stuff done. So yeah, until next time, folks. Yeah, if you've watched this much and yeah, you've stuck around for it, like, I appreciate it a lot. And yeah, hopefully you got something out of it. This is a very quick, simple build. It's all functional and that's it. The whole function has been to get off of Pertram, and it has taken a little bit of time to do. There hasn't been any major disasters. Like, there's been a few minor frustrations, like when we had the crash and we also got annihilated by lightning. That was a bit of a trialing time, but it has been relatively quick to get this build up and going and ready for space. And I think we're pretty much just about there. Like, we're probably also thinking about it, want to chuck a cockpit on so we don't have to sit in the suit and make sure, like, our helmet's closed and all the rest of that business. So yeah, I think we'll go and jump in the cryopod before I forget, because we went to the trouble of making sure that we had one this time, so we don't lose all our tools. And I think we'll call that a day. Thank you, guys.